GM, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. Folks, we thought it was Turnaround Tuesday. Turns out we turned around too many times. Now we're back red, deep in the mud, and wondering if we'll ever break out of this range. We're going to break it down on today's show. I'm your host, Tyler D. We got Logan in the house. Logan, yeah, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Tyler. Yeah, we thought things were maybe a little rough to start yesterday as well, though. And by the time we logged off, we had grinded up $3,000 or $4,000 on Bitcoin. So maybe we can run back the same playbook today.
Maybe we can run it back again today. What a run that was, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on the show. What did we go? Yeah, basically 109 to 112. I think live in the hour of our show yesterday, went all the way to 114. Sheesh, and then all the way back down. What a rough day. We'll get into the price action. Little NBA kickoff yesterday. Did you find yourself watching any NBA action yesterday?
Yeah, I was traveling after work, so I only got to see basically the back half, the last couple the two overtimes of the Thunder and Rockets game, which is great. It's good to have it back. Of course, not the same intensity as playoff basketball provides, but it's good to be back with basketball season for sure.
NBA starting in October always feels a little early to me in the moment. Like, I am happy to have the sport back, but we're deep in baseball playoffs. NFL is just finally getting into like the interesting part of the season, and now we have NBA already. I feel like what if they started after Thanksgiving? You ramp up for a few weeks, and like Christmas is really the big kickoff. I don't know.
I like it early. As you know, my football fandom has, there is no interesting part of the football season to me anymore. So I'm glad to have basketball here alongside, the World Series, and of course tennis is still going as well.
Always
still watching the indoor swing. But yeah, just happy to have it back. And one more thing to be, tuning into when it's a little too cold to go outside here in northeastern PA.
Well, I don't know if we've got a parallel AI Rev in the show audience yet or not, but shout out to Rev. Saw his tickets from the prediction markets for that NBA game last night. Nice hit for our good friend. So he is definitely leaning into sports prediction markets. You love to see that. Also topical for one of the big stories for today. What are we talking about on today's show? We're going to talk the gold sell-off, Bitcoin pumping, and then selling off as well. What the hell's going on? We're going to talk about these new skinny master accounts, what that means for crypto banks. We got some breaking news about the Mega ETH ICO, Meteora, TGE tomorrow, and a massive day of prediction market news, folks. DraftKings is getting into the game. Jupiter is getting into the game. Limitless dropped their Limitless token. I think the first major prediction market token is now out there. We've got a lot to break down. Also, Top Shot. If we've got time at the end of the show, Top Shot with a pretty significant update here. 5 years beyond the golden era?
It's been that long.
2021. And the onboarding of several folks in our class. So we'll talk about that as well. We are live on Kick and X. If you're not already, follow our channel. Give us a sub. Why not? You'll be eligible for the giveaways on Friday with our partner YEET. But also shout out to our partner Wallet Connect. Wallet Connect powers billions in volume monthly across wallets, apps, users, and institutions. That blue logo, it's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto, as recognizable as Visa at the checkout. If you want to learn more, follow at Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. All right, well, let's get into it. No Mando in the studio just yet, so I'll do my best impression and walk us through a market report here, folks. I am sharing my screen for those of you who are in the stream. Let's take a look at the majors board here on Wednesday morning. Bitcoin down 1%, 108,400. It is up off the bottom. I think we were in the 107s briefly this morning. ETH down 1%, 38.50. BNB even 1,077. I think it got listed on Robinhood this morning. So a little bit more broader access to BNB. Solana down 1%, 185. I think the numbers themselves aren't too surprising. I think what's surprising is just the volatility. And I've got the 1 hour chart up now. So from yesterday, again, I woke up yesterday, Bitcoin was like 107.5. During the show, we pumped to 109 to 112 and all the way to 114 and then all the way back. That was just the demoralizing sell-off. A couple other aspects of this move. So gold was selling off as well. So the gold Bitcoin chart at one point was down 7% yesterday. So we had it. It was clear. Finally, gold had peaked. The great rotation is on. Gold's not going up against Bitcoin ever again in our lifetime. I was ready to scream that from the mountaintops. The setup it looked so good. It was so obvious in hindsight that folks lining up across the globe to buy physical gold would be a blow off top. It still might be for what it's worth. You had the ETF folks lining up to buy it. This is what hurts me the most, but also is my sign of optimism. I'll get to that in a second. $477 million in net inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs yesterday. Granted, we've got iBet reporting a day behind. So it actually might be the true total, I bet, will be higher than this because I think iBet will likely come in higher than 200 million in yesterday's pump. So huge inflows from the institutions. The institutions are buying. So who the hell is selling? And it seems like once again, it is the long-term holders. And I think there's a large Binance seller. I don't have the Binance seller tweet pulled up. I saw some going around the timeline yesterday, but then I saw this analysis from Glassnode, which just continues to show that it is these long-term holders. They're just dumping. They're dumping into every pump here. I think we went down another 28,000 Bitcoin yesterday from the large long-term holders. So this is, if you want to know what is happening, it's always hard to know on a day-to-day basis what actually is happening. Like, to me, this is the most rational explanation for why we're not pumping when gold's selling off, ETF buyers are piling in $500 million in a day, but we pump and then totally reverse it. I think this is the explanation, but what's going through your head? What's your reactions?
Well, it's got to happen sometime, right? You gotta reset some cost basis. Update the believers. People have believed for a really long time and now are cashing out and rewarding themselves for having done so, for over a decade. So it's got to happen at some point, right? Some hopium for folks who, you and I, right, who are hoping for that, more violent upswing. Nothing has changed, for me on this. Continue to pay attention to this stuff. But as I mentioned yesterday on the show, the big thing for me is kind of like that $100,000 psychological barrier. Throw out the TA, throw out all that stuff. Sitting at 108 after all this negativity, all the uncertainty after the big liquidation, stuff from 11 days ago or so. I feel pretty comfortable there. It still feels like up to me. Uptober, whatever you want to call it. Like, I feel totally fine sitting at $108,000, having all that stuff transpired in the last week and a half or so.
Yeah, I think that is the optimism. And I shared, eventually what's driving this. I do think eventually this trend is going to change, right? And eventually these folks are going to stop selling. Right now that the selling is accelerating. So this additional tweet, long-term holders were selling 12,500 Bitcoin per day in July, now up to 22,500. So again, it will reverse at some point, and the buyers are still showing up. So the iBit folks, the ETF buyers, they don't care about the 4-year cycle. At least that's not what I'm seeing. One of the highest day in 2 weeks came through yesterday. So I think they see the dips and they're ready to buy. They see momentum and they're ready to buy. So I expect that to continue. So that is some signs of hope. Stocks, it looks like largely flat, maybe slightly down here today. Netflix missed earnings. I think that was the bigger piece of macro news. We got a bit of ongoing Trump trade war rhetoric. I think he threatened 145% tariffs on China yesterday in some random post. But that doesn't really seem to be what's moving the needle at this point. Folks, breaking news. We got Mando in the studio. Mando, GM, how you doing?
GM, everyone. Great. Even more painful chop, it feels like. Everyone losing their mind. That is a wicked little candle, that one. That is just pain. Up. It was like 4%, just smashed back down. We're right back to where we were. Yeah.
This is the last 7 days. It is just maniacal. So consolidate, sell off, consolidate, sell off. All right, build a base, grind back up, sell off, shoot back up, all the way back down. Total fake out. We were just going through some potential rationale. I was pulling up a Glassnode tweet showing some data behind long-term sellers, which seem to be accelerating their sell-off now. Curious for your take on the markets. Anything you want to walk us through from a macro perspective?
Macro, we had the sell-off in gold yesterday, which I think was causing the initial Bitcoin rally because everyone was like, oh, we're about to see a bit of rotation. And then just got dumped on by Binance or whatever this long-term holders are, which is exactly what we're talking about here. We've been talking about for a while. Like, fundamentally feels like we're set up for a rally, and you keep on running into sellers on any sort of rally. So, and I don't know, I think that stops in December. I really, really do, because then I think there'll be this expectation that the 4-year cycle is kind of over. But it's clear that is the motivation, I think, behind a lot of the selling at the moment. And it feels pretty violent when they want to sell. You know what I mean? Feels like it's like a...
We see it. Like you can actually see it.
Yeah, exactly.
In the charts.
So I don't know if it's like a period for altcoins or not. It doesn't feel like they're even doing that well at the moment. But Bitcoin feels like it needs time to accelerate out of this still, which is just kind of painful. And everyone sits here and wants to make money each day, but probably feels like a slowing down period for me still. I still think we've probably got another month and a bit of this.
That feels right, unfortunately. And as much as I'm in the camp that wants to see the violent reversals, just doesn't seem like it's actually in the cards just yet, barring some big announcement or change. Of course, like if the China trade deal gets approved, maybe that's enough. But again, I don't even know if that is necessarily enough. If this cohort of sellers has already made up their mind that they're going to unload this Bitcoin in Q4. Yeah. Does the China trade deal even stop that? I don't know.
I just don't know. It's not macro, I think, that's causing us to sell off. So it's a bit of a... But I also think that there are dip buyers. That's what I also think. That's why I think we're like in this range, because it is just like, if Bitcoin was to go below 100K here, I just think people would buy it because they'll be like, this is ridiculous. Like, versus what's going on in macro, this feels like an obvious buy. And I think you'll probably just see an acceleration of that. So we're in this very tight range of which everyone's losing their minds. But I think it doesn't feel frothy to me. It just feels like it's not being allowed to rally. But if it was to dip, I think you'd get buyers of it. I really do.
The market makers behind the Mando KBM 100K or 120K first bet are loving this.
This unbelievable, right? We could be here for like years.
This might not resolve in 2025. Imagine the pain.
The next market. That should be the... Will this resolve in 2025?
Yes.
Should be the next market.
Sims, Myriad team, if you're listening, we need meta markets on top of this one. It's obvious. The people want to bet on this. 400K volume on this market, one of the top on Myriad right now. We need more. We need more action on when this is going to resolve. Quick MYRIAD story. I shared this on Underexposed, but I banked my Zeke bet in what now is looking like such a random flash candle. So Zeke rallied to 310.
It did, yeah.
And now it's just totally back at the. I mean, the chart still looks good, but
Yeah.
it's definitely kind of back in that range. Just a wild daily on that 246 to 310.
Zeke does have some wild dailies. It's got that energy about it a bit. Like it goes up and down like 10% in a candle. It feels like.
Can any of these alts make moves? If Bitcoin's not breaking out till December, are we basically in chop mode for most of these?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think for the vast majority of altcoins, this is going to be a pretty painful period. This is my gut. You can kind of see it as narratives are drifting. Aster's below 1. Hyperliquid is not looking so good. Even like Pump basically failed to even bounce, despite everyone saying this is going to be the biggest thing to come out of Pump ever. Like feels not great. So I still quite like ETH. But yeah, it's not feeling that good out there, I think, for altcoins still. Like this feels like a sort of environment where Bitcoin can just grind up and everyone kind of feels a bit of pain for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said for a little bit, I kind of said I thought since September Bitcoin dominance was going to go higher and you should own Bitcoin. It has. It's been much slower at doing it. It went from 57 to now like nearly 60. But that, yeah, I think that may pick up again. And that would really suck. Then the timeline would really be annoyed, I think.
If you think it can't get worse than it is now.
Yeah.
There are still outcomes where it gets worse. I want to briefly talk about Aster. I mean, Aster has become a pain trade. So there's the group of folks who caught it early on the CZ tweet. They got in somewhere between 10, 50 cents. I was a little bit late, got in around 40 cents. So I'm still up on the trade. I haven't really added. But like if you look at this chart, folks were definitely adding in this $1.40 to $1.60 range. Folks were definitely adding in this $1.60 to $2 range.
Mm.
And now they're down 25 to 50%. Probably figuring you just cut it.
I really felt like it had formed a bottom. And then just with the, over the last 2 weeks, but it just has continued lower. It's tough because I think Hyperliquid's not trading that well either. And I think there's this idea that what we just spoke about, like perp dexes are not maybe the flavor of the month suddenly again.
Yeah. Perp meta is definitely waning. That's for sure. At least based on my timeline.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them, right? Lighter and what's the other? Something dimensional or something like that? Variational, I think it is. There's a few of these at the moment which people are farming. It doesn't seem as obvious. I do really think that they're going to champion this, but the path to it going higher, I think, is becoming just more challenged because the sector is becoming more challenged. Yeah.
It's more crowded. Folks just lost a lot of capital. I am curious. So it looks like maybe next big level support 32 for hype. But now folks who were buying this top are now kind of back to even on that. And it's a little bit less fun to end all your tweets with Hyperliquid after you got licked on October 10th for your whole balance. So I think we're seeing a little bit less of that.
Yeah, I've definitely seen fewer Hyperliquids, for sure. I don't know, like I've always said that Hyperliquids, if it's going to keep this sort of valuation because of the supply coming, obviously, they need to really build out the chain aspects of it. And I think they are trying to do that now. Like it's clear that Jeff is like trying to pivot to that, but there's not a lot there yet. So it continues to kind of be valued like a DeFi protocol then. And then I think the market's going to be less forgiving as time goes on, basically. I think they do need to ship even more than what they've been shipping, you know?
Yeah. I would agree. And I forgot about the unlocks coming up, which is what, November? So it's around the corner. I'd have to look back.
The unlocks are coming in November, yeah, which is quite a big deal. And they may lock them or stake them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just the idea that suddenly this stuff is like the FT, like the current market cap of Hyperliquid will go up. And I think people just maybe just aren't aware of it as much. You know, there's a lot of like versus current market cap valuation metrics that get thrown around with Hyperliquid.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm not bearish on Hyperliquid. I think they do really, really well. But I do think that they need to show why they're more than just a perp dex, I think, soon, even with like high revenue. I saw Arthur Hayes bear posting it today, which I thought was kind of wild. Did you see this?
No. Who was bear posting it?
Arthur Hayes.
Oh, interesting. I thought he was just bull posting it.
I know he sold a lot. Remember, because like there were wallets tracking him. But if you go to his tweets maybe 23 hours ago, looks like you'll see.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
It's just hype. Multiple compression is at risk. So basically, what I'm simply saying, annual revenue is almost back at all-time high, but prices much lower. Degens are not willing to pay as much for future uncertain revenues, given a more competitive perp dex landscape. It's interesting that Pump Fun, I think, has really cemented itself, and Hyperliquid has lost market share, whereas Pump Fun feels like, I know obviously there's been quite a lot happening on Binance, but it still feels like Pump Fun's the place, right? And yet Pump Fun hasn't really been rewarded for it, even though people are coming back. Difficult one.
It's definitely more competitive.
Really sucks, doesn't it? Like it is just hold on to Bitcoin and be in the chop.
Yeah. I will. My view is Pump. Yeah. Pump has at least, it's not the right dashboard. Pump has fought off the competitors. Right. So like it had the big bonk run, then it had Heaven. And really now there's no one else even fighting. And I think Hyperliquid still is the likely candidate to continue leading in market share. But they're still in the thick of it. And like they're not leading volumes. They're still leading by open interest. So they've got that. But I think their fight still is going to be ongoing. So we will continue to see. I want to go down a few other tokens to talk about. Meteora does come out tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, I believe. This will go live. Sex listings just an hour after that. So going to be a big morning for folks who are expecting some MET tokens. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that on tomorrow's show. Mano, are you getting any MET? Do you have any views on MET at 1 billion?
Do I have a strong view on it? I don't really, if I'm honest. I mean, where does Radium trade these days?
Yeah, let's take a look.
So Radium trades at
470 million MC, about $1 billion FTB. Yeah.
I don't have a strong view on it there, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine it's going to trade materially higher than Radium. So feels like it's a good coin. As in, like, it's, you know, to be worth $1 billion, it's got to be something good going on there. But do I think it goes like 10 billion or anything like that? Nah.
Yeah, it feels kind of correctly priced at $1 billion. Hard to really see. Like a 2x would surprise me more than a a dip from $1 billion. I guess that's kind of where my head is, just because I think these market conditions, folks are just going to take their profits. Right, it's going to be an easy one to sell. So we'll be watching that one, and then Mega ETH, the breaking news before today's show. So we've got more information on their ICO. They're doing a public ICO sale on Sonar, the capital raising platform tied to Echo. It is going to be an English auction. I don't know that we've ever seen this before. I don't remember ever seeing this. So their ICO is going to start at a 1 million FDV. It is then going to go up over time as bids come in. 999 million is the cap. They say no unicorns. So you're not going to be paying more than $1 billion for this. Users can commit up to 186K. I think to be eligible to even bid, you need to have registered on their site. So if you haven't done that and you're interested, you need to go check that out soon. I don't know how long that takes to get through it. It looks like in the situation where it is oversubbed, they're going to be giving preference to Mega ETH core supporters, including that Bad Buns NFT holders. So Bad Buns finally with some utility after all this time. This is 5% of the supply. Logan, maybe I'll throw this to you. Any reactions on your end from the Mega ETH ICO, and are you going to be bidding the auction?
Given I already have exposure, I'm not looking to bid this, but I am definitely curious to see where things stand. And I've actually been maybe pleasantly surprised because of my Fluffle exposure that people seem really, really bowled up on this. I saw some tweets, I think, from Loopify about like committing the max and some others that just seem, really excited about this being a massive, massive launch, despite the fact that, as we've just mentioned, conditions right now are kind of meh. Like, there's not a whole lot to be excited about. So cutting through that and generating some buzz and excitement is interesting. I'm mainly curious for my own sake where this English auction ends up. It would surprise me if it, jumped all the way to the 999. But, something towards the upper bound of that range would be, I don't know, pleasantly surprising, I guess. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I know I was messing around with that Mega Math site. I'm not sure if you ever pulled that up here or not, Tyler. But yeah, just extrapolating out exactly where those valuations come in should Mega ETH be valued at XYZ. So I'm eager to see. Yeah.
Remind me, what are the Fluffles?
I think the Fluffle based on that was like it's a $2,600 investment at like $375 or $450 or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
I was, for whatever reason, I thought it was 500 million. And I'm hoping it's less.
It is. It's five. Okay, it's 550.
Okay,
550.
Well, so then this is a major disappointment if it comes in under 550.
If it comes in under 550, that would be not great for Fluffle holders for sure.
What's going on with Fluffle holders? Like, what's the risk? I thought the Fluffles would be almost like you get airdrops for the things that have been built on Mega ETH, or is it something to do with the actual raise?
So Fluffles, more or less, are token options, right?
I didn't know that.
So okay. Yeah, so it provides you. I don't know that this is 100% accurate, but based on the Mega Math stuff, it was 2,600, which is the price. It was 1 ETH at the time of mint, so ETH was around 2,600 at that point, at a $550 million valuation. That was the Fluffle round.
Is this Bad Buns, or sorry, is this something different?
We're talking about Fluffles. They are different. So Fluffles was basically like a private ICO. You could buy the NFT for $2,600 and you got in at $550.
Yeah, it's the official like Mega ETH soul-bound NFT that what they did. I don't know when that was, March, something like that. It was a while back.
Sorry, I got confused between Bad Buns and Fluffles. So what are Bad Buns?
Bad Buns are just a PFP product that folks were speculating would have some kind of a role in the Mega ETH ecosystem.
Okay.
And now that they've been confirmed as getting preferential treatment in this public ICO, looks like folks are buying them. So they're up 8% today. Not a crazy move. They're holding at 0.4. Not bad. So what's that? Like $1,700, $1,600? Not terrible. But they've been, if you zoom out, they've kind of been in this range. And then they're actually trading higher for a while. So we'll see if the Buns get any love from this one. Logie, I think it's going to the max. I think it's going straight to 999.
I wouldn't be sad about it.
It also highlights that there is a lot of demand for angel investing in crypto, right? We just saw Coinbase acquire Echo for $375. This is one of the more we've seen these Kaido raises be consistently oversubbed, right? And that feels like a smaller subset of crypto Twitter who's even really following all of those. We'll talk about Limitless. Limitless was majorly oversubscribed, and then much to the happiness of folks who got in, a very successful TGE this morning. Folks want to do this. They want to buy in on real products. And I think that this one's going to be oversubbed and probably going to go to the top of the range. Well, let's keep walking through. Maybe let's go straight to Limitless. There's a ton of prediction market news on the day. I tweeted this out, like 4 blockbuster pieces of news in the prediction market space. But arguably the biggest, Limitless has officially launched their token. They TGE'd this morning. It was a surprise TGE. I don't think we knew when it was coming, and shot all the way up briefly to 800 million FTV, hanging out at 420 million right now, which is still a pretty hefty value. I saw Veda Research posting about this here this morning. So the Kaido Capital Launchpad participants got in at 75 million, 50% unlocked, 50% 6-month vest. That was a 1 million raise. It was oversubscribed by 200x. So they had 200 million in capital committed to that. So folks didn't get anywhere close to how much they wanted, which is, you could argue, pretty good marketing campaign to pull that off. And now we're seeing it translate to 420. So basically these folks are up 6x on their 50%, so 3x on the initials. So I think pretty happy with that. I think I saw that the wall chain quackers got somewhere between 10 and 15K allos. So a lot of folks ate on this Limitless launch here this morning. Ogie, any reactions to this? Have you been following the Limitless launch? What are your takes here?
Yeah. So I've been following Limitless just a little bit. I actually haven't really participated too much, but it differentiates itself, right, based on these super short hourly, daily crypto price markets. So it's not as closely related to, like, Polymarket, Myriad, et cetera, right, where there's a bunch of like culture, sports, et cetera, which I actually really like that they've kind of carved out a niche here, which is interesting to me, especially as the market becomes more saturated with prediction market opportunities and platforms. So, but yeah, I mean, regarding the valuation, that niche component is a little interesting because it does perhaps limit some of the potential addressable market. And this is the first, I think you're right, the first real token attached to any that we've seen thus far. So this is your kind of barometer for how much interest is there actually for prediction markets and tokens associated with them as well, and having some level, if you want to call it this, some level of ownership over the growth of those prediction markets too. So not too much to say. I mean, I think it seems fair right now. $470 million FDV is pretty high. But like, given the scope of excitement and how, just frothy overall prediction markets feel at this point in time, it doesn't strike me as odd that it's priced there. It's got to maintain, of course. I mean, all of these markets are going to have to maintain this level of excitement, this level of volume, et cetera, which they've done thus far. We thought they were going to die. Many people thought they were going to die post-election, and they're, eclipsing the volumes that they, had put up at this point in time last year. Yeah. So, how long can you continue to do that as exhaustion or saturation comes to the forefront? I'm not exactly sure, but I do really appreciate, Limitless trying to build something that's a little bit different than a copy paste of XYZ prediction market, which it feels like there are increasingly more options of those every day now.
Yeah, I heard some analogies that maybe it's closer to a perps market almost than a prediction market in some ways. I'm trying to get a Limitless spokesperson on against the odds for tomorrow, so we'll have a deeper dive for folks who are able to tune into that one. So I want to save some of my thoughts for that. But my first takeaway, and you kind of went there, Logan, is people are hungry to buy prediction market tokens. And I think if you see this, if you've been farming Myriad, if you've been farming these other protocols, I think you're pretty happy with this come out here this morning. So I would imagine that the MYRIAD room was buzzing this morning. Certainly seeing this token go all the way to 700, 800 million. So we see the appetite that is out there, but the space is also becoming a bit more crowded. This is the other blockbuster headline from the day. DraftKings acquires Railbird and is now going to launch their own prediction market app. It's called DraftKings Predictions, allowing customers to trade regulated event contracts on real-world outcomes across finance, culture, and entertainment. In their announcement, I believe they did say sports are not forthcoming, which surprised me. My initial read on this was that they would get into this door to try to get live in those states where DraftKings is banned. DraftKings is banned. I don't know if you know off the top of your head, about 15 to 20 states, including
something like that,
Texas and California. And now they might be able to wiggle around that. But it looks like they're not going the sports route just yet. Logie, were you surprised by this?
Well, not necessarily, actually. This one was teased a while ago. There was a report, I think, from Sports Business Journal, like maybe a couple months ago, about rumored acquisition of Railbird. So actually, I had looked into this a bit ago. Railbird appears to be a very, very small company. I think it may have even been like a Y Combinator thing at some point in time. Perhaps not. Don't quote me on that one.
10 to 11 employees.
Yeah, that totally tracks. I was trying to get a hold of somebody there for a long time and was unable to do so, given the phone numbers and LinkedIn messages that I sent. Nobody got back to me. But nevertheless, I mean, not necessarily surprised that this acquisition came through, and not necessarily surprised that, DraftKings and all the players right now are looking for an opportunity to participate in this space. One, for the reason that you just mentioned, potentially opening itself up to those other states where it's not currently present. I think one of the reasons perhaps you're not seeing them rush to sports is they cannot risk jeopardizing their existing licensing in the sports that they do have. I mean, that is their core business. They're going to be super buttoned up, to the best of their ability, to make sure they don't have any, anything goes wrong there and jeopardize them in any way, shape, or form. So that doesn't necessarily surprise me that they wouldn't rush out sports in those other markets, but it, potentially opens them up to do so in the future. And to answer the question about, just surprised they're getting in the game. No, not at all. Everybody's getting in on this game. Everybody wants to have the opportunity to provide markets for everything. And thus far, or at least right now, there is, almost unlimited fervor for retail participants that, want to bet on all this stuff as well. If you want to call it bet or wager or whatever you want to say there. So not surprising. All the big boys are going to come in. It'll be just interesting to see how it all shakes out. To me, the biggest question is like, when does exhaustion set in? As somebody who's reporting on this stuff every single day, like, it feels like we're speed running that little cycle, right? Maybe I'm just so tied into the speed of the crypto cycles, but at this point in time, like the meta is on fire. It is it's got to be speed running some level of plateau or something. We haven't reached it yet, though.
Yeah, I think that's if you're thinking about it as a meta versus like a paradigm shift. And I think the verdict is still out on that, and I don't want to get ahead of my skis. And I am one who does get ahead of his skis quite a bit. Kind of my MO, but I do think the DraftKings coming in is a grow the pie headline and not going to come in and steal market share, but volumes are going to flatten out, right? I do think we're going to have DraftKings users who love to bet on things. Now they're going to have access to additional new markets, and they'll probably dabble when they want, right? Like, I don't think a sports betting cohort is now going to become election betting experts, right? And chase every one of these mentions markets. But, if they have loosely won to bet on elections, but they didn't want to go through VPN hurdles, now they've got easier access to do that. And I think some certainly will. So I think these volumes are going to go up and to the right. I think by the time we're at 2028, we're probably at 10x. Like, that's my prediction. 10x the 2024 election by the 2028 election. A lot of things have to go right between now and then. There's a school of thought that some of these sports markets are going to get hand slapped and at least banned in some of these states where current sports betting it like from DraftKings and FanDuel is blocked. So I think that I don't really have a direct insight into that. I've certainly seen folks chat about that, and it would make sense to me, at least while this is all worked through and the regulations are all sorted, which is going to take some time. But big move from DraftKings. Which do you think you're more likely to use? I mean, we're tied, to MYRIAD, of course, but I think if DraftKings launches a mobile app, you've got Kalshi, you've got Polymarket, maybe putting MYRIAD aside for this one.
Yeah. So I think as a casual user of prediction markets, I would lean towards whatever is mobile friendly, whatever is really simple. So I have the Kalshi app, for example. I'm not actively like participating in markets on Kalshi, but I do scroll them from time to time, and it appears to be quite easy to utilize them. That's the way I would go. It's not to suggest that the on-chain markets or anything like that are difficult to use per se, but it's just an extra step. It's an extra hurdle, and I'm not like actively utilizing prediction markets to try to grind percentage edges and be very proficient and take advantage of arbitrages and stuff. If I was doing that, I would be focusing probably on the on-chain stuff. As a casual user, I just want the super simple app on my phone. And that's where, DraftKings predictions, the Kalshi stuff right now, soon to be Polymarket probably, right, are going to be really, really easy to use.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks waiting for this Polymarket US app rollout, which now is seeming less likely for 2025. We'll certainly see. Mando, gonna plug you in here for 1 second. I was hanging out in the YEET chat yesterday.
Oh yeah,
KBM saying sports betting coming Friday. He's gonna rip the band. Enough testing. It's coming.
No, that is like that's when we expand the test group. I don't know if it won't be launching on Friday for sure. Well, I don't know. Maybe KBM's got something else planned up this late. Yeah, soon, very, very soon. It's interesting to see this though, right? Like, I think there's a bit of regulatory arbitrage here for a lot of these big casino giants because they're like, prediction markets allow me to do a lot of things that traditionally the gambling commission would have purview over, and now it doesn't. So I do think prediction markets, particularly anyone who managed to get a license, is going to be super valuable right now.
Yeah, and we kind of glossed over that. The actual story is they basically acquired Railbird for this license.
It's the license, yeah. It's not the tech.
Which I think, I don't know if I saw the number, like 100 million. I forget the details. I'll have to find it, but these licenses are very valuable. We saw Polymarket do a similar acquisition a few months ago. Probably not the last. I think that is fair to say, and not even the last prediction market headline of the day. Jupiter also throwing their hat in the ring. This one caught me by surprise. So Jupiter's first ever prediction market now live, powered by Kalshi. You can trade on the F1 Mexico Grand Prix winner. And they go through a series of things of how it works. Farouk chatted about this a little bit in our group chat, saying this might be the new trend where you'll see just kind of front ends that plug in to the larger liquidity providers.
I think that's very fair. And there'll be some sort of split of the fees probably. You've kind of already seen this with perps, right? That everyone's now integrating perps and everyone's now going to integrate prediction markets. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear.
So expect more of this. Another one I think probably grows the pie. I don't know that Jupiter users are going to stop their day-to-day activities and pivot from meme trading to bet on F1 Mexico Grand Prix, but maybe a small cohort does, right? And it just adds to the overall total. So we'll see likely some fierce competition for these liquidity pools as well. So I'll be curious for that. And then just one other prediction market headline from the day. Yeah, this really does not stop. And that's the NHL reached a multi-year licensing agreement with Kalshi and Polymarket. So 4 headlines here this morning. I think the takeaway from this one is I'm curious if these existing sports markets if they're going to have to be a little bit more careful about like what they call the teams, like if they're able to use their logos, what they call some of these markets specifically. I guess I wouldn't have thought that you necessarily needed a license agreement with a sports body like the NHL to offer NHL contracts. But apparently there is something to this. Also fairly notable that they went after they just took both, right? So they're not picking a horse. They're just going with both Kalshi and Polymarket. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if NFL, MLB, NBA follow suit, and or like what is the difference between how these NHL markets are branded versus these other professional sports. Logie, I see you not. Any reactions to this?
Yeah, I anticipate this will. Yeah, all the major sports will end up doing something similar as well. It's just additional money in the league's pockets, right? More or less. The stuff's going to happen regardless. So I would imagine the prediction markets aren't going to put up too much of a legal fight. You know, do you really want to wage that war with these orgs if they come knocking for some additional funds to be the official licensor or whatever? So I would have envisioned this happens probably for every league, for every major prediction market.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the license is. Licensing agreement. What is the license they're getting?
Let's see if we have the details. I didn't have much of a chance to really dig into this. Set to be announced today.
Like, do all the major leagues have gambling partners? Like gambling licenses? That's not how other leagues are kind of set up. Like you can gamble other sports on any platform, right?
Yeah, I mean, so all the leagues, you can gamble on DraftKings, FanDuel, et cetera, or whatever, through all the books and stuff. But most of the books are like official partners in some way. I don't know that it means anything specifically other than branding, et cetera. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like the league is there to pick up some money. Yeah.
I'm reading that it's officially given permission for them to use their logos, names, and official data.
Okay. All right. That makes more sense. Now, this is kind of cheeky as well, because all the leagues now will think we sold our gambling licenses, whatever, to these firms. And then now they can claim this is something completely different. And we're going to have a prediction market and we're going to have but then DraftKings just went and bought one. So what's your plan in response to that? There's going to be a bit of a fight here, I think, between the guys who paid however much to be the official betting partner of the NBA. And the NBA just secretly does a deal with Kalshi, which is more sports betting volume than all these guys combined at the moment.
Yeah.
Watch for that headline.
It's the Wild West out there, and there's a lot of moving pieces. That is clear. Just rounding out this sports topic here as we wrap up the show this morning. NBA Top Shot's back, folks. We alluded to it in the beginning of the show. They had a major update here yesterday, along with the launch of the NBA season. And the biggest change is their slogan, "Every moment matters." So they're leaning into scarcity quite a bit. I tweeted out some of the details. Go check out my post if you're interested in the specifics, or read this Top Shot roadmap. It is fairly lengthy. There's a lot to unpack, but the biggest TLDR, these new rookies are going to have like 75% less moments available. So huge lean into scarcity. So these common rookies, last year they had 4,000 moments. This year they're going to have 1,100. And the rares are down 50%. The legendaries are down like 75%. So Cooper Flag is going to have significantly less rookie moments than Wemby did, for example. So I saw some excitement. I liked a few of these posts, and then my algo gave me like 50 Top Shot posts, which reminded me that, there is still a corner of CT and sports Twitter that is talking about Top Shot. And of course, it was a big day. Logie, I think you were in the Top Shot.
Yeah.
back in 2021 reactions to this?
Yeah, early Top Shot user. I mean, this is what folks have been clamoring for a long time, right? Focus on scarcity, highlight the fact that the major like actual physical cards, right? Like there's like just an absurd amount printed. This is something different. It's a collectible that is more scarce, more rare, and hopefully more collectible as well at the end of the day, no pun intended. There's no better time to do this with the excitement around, of course, Cooper Flag, right? If you were going to do it 2 years ago with Wemby, would have been another great opportunity. Last year, Ricochet is just nowhere near the level of headline player that this is providing. So great timing, I think, with Flag. Let's see what happens. I mean, the meta around physicals and physical collectibles on chain has been growing. The whole Pokemon stuff of late, definitely like giving Top Shot, I think, a little bit of a boost here in terms of mind share and in terms of maybe a level of excitement that many people had already written off for Top Shot, fairly or unfairly. So eager to see what happens. I still do think that the digital collecting space on stuff like this has a place. It definitely has a place. It's not going to replace physical collecting and cardboard collectors. You know, that is the tangible nature of those things, and the opening the packs yourself is like, you know, there's something about that. But there is a place for this. I don't know that
I still prefer the digital collectibles. Rooting for Top Shot. We'll see.
Of course.
We'll have more excitement for pack drops, right? Will we reach 2021 fervor? It's going to be an uphill battle for that. But I do think we'll see packs reselling for 3 to 5x with these new scarcity numbers. And then when you get that, maybe combine it with a lull in the on-chain action right now. It's kind of a juicy setup for Top Shot. And you alluded to the Pokemon pack meta that we had, just a month ago. So there's some appetite for this. We'll see. But a fun little twist to deploy along with NBA season kicking off. Folks, I think that's going to be it. That is going to be our show for the day. We went around the horn. I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. I want to thank our partners as always. Thank my co-hosts, folks. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern for another show. Until then, go make it a beautiful day.